The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.
We hope to help you. We want you to know that there's some life after the hurt.
Good afternoon, evening, night. I am Matt Duffin. Am I the proprietor? I created this show on brain injuries, for people with brain injuries, about people with brain injuries, and all the little gamut between, and it's a wide one. You know, when people say, I think that person's lost his mind, you really don't know how that works unless you've been involved with people with strokes or traumatic brain injuries or people that have literally lost their mind. I lose my mind 19 times a day, 30. Sometimes I lose it at the same time. I'll be looking for a pen and it's right in front of me. I don't see it. Life goes on. We go through days and hours and years of therapy so we don't get so frustrated, we don't get so upset, and we don't get mad at other people. We're not mad at you, we're not mad at anything else, but we're frustrated as heck. Is heck a word? I mean, it's just really nasty trying to live without yourself, especially when it took you 2 to 4 years to maybe even reach out and find what was there in the first place. And yes, that was an understandable brain injury statement. I want to do this show forever. I want to support and give out people messages about brain injuries because they're happening. They're happening. And the country and the world's got so much better at it recovering in the last 20 years. I fit exactly into that mold. I'm an original patient of the model systems and brain injury in Indianapolis. I've went to school at Indiana University for a little over 6 years, understanding brain injuries and a brain injured concept with a brain injured neurologist and neuropsychologist as my instructors. I have a support group, although we're struggling a little bit in Wayne County. You know, I try to have web pages for our shows, open communication for our shows, and I'm going to continue to do it. You're damn right, but I'm struggling, and I'll get there. You know, I get help. You know, nobody can dedicate their time and their hours like many of us can, and I get a lot of help. And of course, it gets confusing help. That's why you get good help. And I'll sit here and ramble because I got a lot of rambling to do today as a brain injury thing. But I want to ramble first. Welcome back to the show, Mr. David Lundquist. He's not from Lincoln High School or Cambridge City, but it seems like it. He taught at Lincoln High School. He taught English for
37.
I wasn't going to tell on you.
No, I'm proud of my age.
I was going, okay, you're proud of his age? 37 years he taught at Lincoln High School, and I think he had another 3 in him, but he did. Oh. And he's my helper for today. We switch around. I like to have many Ed McMahons, if you will. Because I really don't want an Ed McMahon. I don't want one opinion. You know, I'd love to have other brain injured people in our area come and be with me, talk to me, run the show. That would be fine. We'll work on it. Because this is for us, about us. You know, am I David Letterman? No, but I'd welcome him to the show anytime. He can give me some pointers. Sometimes he's around Muncie. There's a lot of people I would like on the show. A lot of people have said they would. A lot of people have requested. A lot of people make appointments, can. Things get busy in life. New things I have to learn. That life is not all about me. And that comes with traumatic brain injury. Because when you're in a recovery hospital, you have doctors, therapists, nurses, everybody constantly. You are the most important person. You are it. You are the one. There's certain things, and I asked God if I could live, and I wasn't a very religious man. Still not. I believe in God. Anyway, I asked God if He's going to let me live. There's really one thing I'd like to do. And through Craig Cecilia and our radio network, TBI Survivors Network, Brain Injury Radio, we've been able to do that. We've been able to get a message out from us, for us, about us. We are part of society. We are part of America. Do I have bad moments? All day long. Can I think clear? Take notes. Write them down. Look at my books. Read them. Work with me. I take notes. I said, here's my cue cards for today. I had to take a lake trip. It was well worth it to Lafayette last night. And as you Richmond High School people know, that's a good 6-hour round trip venture. Buffalo, Indiana.
Oh.
We got a car part in Buffalo, Indiana. Real nice small community up by the Monon, up by the lakes, and real nice. And I had been talking the day before that on what this guy's called. He's not going to make it. This guy's not going to make it. You know. We're here. You know, I'm friends with Sean Lamb, and he's a very busy man who survived the Dayton tragedy that we've talked about. And I want him on the show, and he wanted to be on the show. Still wants to be on the show. Another month is going by, Sean. He's a good guy. Dave had him in school. Kept some of his papers that he wrote. That's how much he thought of him. Mm-hmm. We've talked about you, Sean, yes. So, you know, I got some interesting things that I'd like him to go over. And sure, about the shooting, if you all would like to hear talk or haven't heard him on the radio on Kicks 96. Before he started being a rock and roll star, or in the middle of it, he used to work at Newcastle High School with some disabled people. And he grew up right away, I'll give him that. And that was before I hit my head, that he had done all. I like to say, when I hit my head, when I knocked. But, you know, I had Scott Powell, minister from the Resurrection Church of East Germantown or Pershing, Indiana. You pick.
Town with two names.
Town with two names. He's a really good human being. As far as minister, I don't know, I haven't been to his church. But he feeds me every Thursday night. They have a group called Feeding Western Wayne. Milton, Pershing, Dublin, Cambridge City, Mount Auburn, and Western Wayne. I suppose if they had the rides, if they talk to people, it's good food. We get it all through meals on Thursday nights. You know, if nothing else, it gives the caregivers a break. They know they don't have to prepare meals for two parents or an uncle and a brother or whatever on however that would work on Thursday night. To me, it's great. You know, my caregiver don't feed me, I don't eat. I don't have a stomach. They took my stomach out. Many processes in this brain injury recovery. However, I'll ramble when we get to that. I've tried to get, and I will. I was late getting started trying to get a fireman over here to discuss, and I will probably be able to get Mr. Jeff Gabbard. He's the fire marshal from this area. He's been on my radio show a few times. Great discussions on what handicapped, disabled, what elderly people, what stroke people would need to remember or try to have written down in places to work through fires. I got to stop because I can't coach you on that. And I'd really like to have an ambulance service. Mr. Reed Hospital, hi. They now have the county ambulance service, and I've been trying for 3 months to get a representative to be on the show to explain to our stroke survivors, to our aneurysm survivors, to our TBI guys, all of us, you know, what to expect, how to get through an ambulance system. You know, I am going to react a little different to a siren sound than somebody else. They just might be driving them crazy, dancing around. They don't want them in their house. They don't know. But yet they're coming for your parents or your brother, or there's things you need to know and be aware of and calm too. And I'm not quite getting that message across to the ambulance providers. So please, contact us again. I've left numbers several times. I want you to be on our show. If not, I'll get people from Dublin. I know they'll come be with me. I'm home. You know, we are Western Wayne too, as much as we're Wayne County. I am a member of the Red Wolf Nation, as well as the Sharpshooter Nation.
We even talk about some of the therapy you went through this summer?
I could do that.
If you want to. It's up to you. You're the boss.
Let's not play that game. It's not baseball, which, by the way, just ended for me for the summer. I pitched a complete game in my last day on the mound. Anyway, all 3 innings or 2, whatever it was. I took a lot of therapy this summer, and it was a different form of therapy than I had been giving before in my 11 years of various physical, mental, and eating therapies. Trying to catch me back into. You know, I was kind of folding up. I'd lost a relationship I hadn't planned on losing. Christmas came and went. I was struggling to get through the bottom of situations. I was getting burnt out on radio because I'd done it for 8.5 years every Sunday, and I hardly missed a Sunday. Even if I had so many shows. We had them fun places. We had them on conventions. We had them in hospitals. I had one during my surgery. There's some great reflexes back there to look at. Yeah, Dr. Buckmaster, he operated on me 29 times. We got used to it. Although he shut the tape off when he had to put me out. But we had fun. You know, a great experience so people can understand that, you know, here's a patient on his way to the operating table. And so happens that the surgery team knew him fairly well, being a frequent visitor at the time. And, you know, so we just had fun with it, a nice conversation. Those are things I want to push towards people with traumatic brain injury and in recovery, because you're still a human being, very much so. You can vote. Your vote counts. Well, maybe not sometimes because we have all this voting problems, but, you know, in the real world, wherever that is, we talk about that a lot too. What is normal? Dave, I'll shut up just for a second for my throat. What is normal?
Oh, we didn't talk about that question. You're asking a very unqualified person to talk about normal.
Fastball pitcher sniffs off a curve every once in a while.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's hard to be in public education for, well, it's close to 40 years, including Chicago. But I think it's hard to be in that if you don't develop some sense of empathy, not just for the students who do well and like you and perform very well in your class, but for all of them. You know, one of the things that I admire about Matt is for all of the pain that he was going through, you know, for all the, near-death trauma, you know, for actually getting roughed up by a policeman when he was trying to bring his father into the hospital, you know, but for all of that.
Exciting year.
I remembered that story. But for all of that, he wanted to help, okay? I'm doing these things not just because, you know, I have to go through therapy and everything, but I want other people to kind of understand some things about brain trauma, you know, the brain mechanics. And of course, he's dealing with it from more a standpoint of things that could be happening to people now, such as his horrible accident or strokes or things. But I think in terms of, and when I taught, I thought in terms of all of the problems that people have mentally that maybe I could help them with if I could understand something about their problem. And here's one thing this is a story I told Matt on the way over here, and I think it's a good story. My parents were wonderful, you know, I can't imagine better parents. My father, my parents were best friends with the Kluses. The Kluses, Fred and Gloria Kluse were just there for them all the time. They donated a cemetery plot for them, for crying out loud. And they had 4 kids. 3 of them were very bright, college educated. The other one was a little bit slow on the uptake. He was very good with mechanical stuff. He didn't have very good, you know, social skills, as it were, you know. But he could fix things, could wire things, you know. And when he volunteered to be a pallbearer for my dad, and when I was talking to my mom, I said, "Wasn't that nice? Tim Kluse volunteered to be a pallbearer for Dad, you know, to honor his parents, because he knew how much." My parents loved his parent. My mom says, that's not why. That's not why Tim volunteered to be a pallbearer. If you ever notice Tim, now Tim he was born under some, you know, rough conditions. You know, I don't know if it was an umbilical cord strangling or falling off the table. I don't know what it was. But that was the thing that caused him to be, you know, just a little slow. And Dad, my mom said, if you noticed, Tim really liked Dad. And the reason he liked Dad is that if you notice about Tim, if you asked him a question, he wouldn't answer right away. He'd go, well, and then it'd stop to think. Pauses in conversations are very awkward for the listener. There is a tendency to want to supply them with the words, to hurry it up, you know. And my mom said, sooner or later, Tim would say something. He would be able to give a good answer. And Dad would wait to listen to him. That's why Tim volunteered to be a pallbearer, because he liked Dad. And he liked Dad because Dad was empathetic, identified, with the problem that Tim had in communicating, and accepted it and helped him out of it. I'll tell you how that helped me, and I've thought about this countless times. I married in 75. My wife's father had Parkinson's disease, and by that time he wasn't really driving or anything. I didn't have a full-time job anymore, and was very slow of speech. And we would always get together Sunday night after church at Mama and Papa's house, for a nice little meal and chat about the week. And it was a good gathering time. Pa sat out in his chair, the one that would help him stand up, and kind of watch TV. And then after a while, he would make his way into the kitchen and join where most of the rest of the people were. I'd stay out there in that extra room and talk to Pa. And when I'd ask Pa a question, you could see, it's like the wheel, you could almost see the wheels turning in his mind as he's trying to, control his tongue to say what he wanted to say. He was a soldier in World War II, and I wanted to find out about some of his experiences. And he would tell me, if I waited. And I learned that lesson from my mom's recognition of why Tim Cluse liked my father so much. People with brain trauma, they can still think. They still have emotions. They want to be. They don't want to be talked down to. They want to have just conversations with people and take time to listen.
Right.
Take time to listen.
It's kind of like, that leads right into where I was going, when I asked God, if you're going to let me live, I got my reasons. And it's not because of my beautiful girlfriend, and it's not for my lovely, darling children, as much as I had to look at him because I was talking to him again on my own this time. First 3 times I had to go listen to him. I really have been there. Anyway, I said, I got my sister looking at me and saying, "Oh, Matthew, he can't hear." My brother-in-law saying, "Can you hear me? Are you understanding me?" I got my brother over there laughing in the corner, saying, "Yeah, he can't understand nothing." I got all this going on. I've been asleep for 54 days. I'm trying to wake up out of the induced coma at this point. And I'm looking around, and my head's working, and I'm seeing things, and I'm understanding. Why are these people talking to me so strange like this? Am I still dead? Am I still there? This is my casket? Why are they talking to me so strange? And I got some other friends along the way. Everybody heard I'd had my ear ripped off. I'd had yada, yada. Everybody wanted to make sure they were communicating with me. Well, then communicate with me. Talk to me like the same person you always have been. I don't know what else to say. As far as you have to treat them the same way. You can't baby coddle them. Yes, to a degree. You'll understand that when you're in the situation. They're injured, hurt, bad, severely bad person. So you have to coddle them in that regard. But let them live. Let them have their own thoughts. Or as my father, who was fairly educated, but in life, he'd always tell people when he brought me home, because he wasn't going to let me go to a nursing home, he brought me home. They told me to let him do as much as he wants when he wants. That's what I'm going to do.
You've done it.
Because you can only do so much, and then you do more and you add to, and people want you to do this, and you become involved. There's a few things that happen when you become a traumatic brain injured survivor. You either fall in your hole, you stare a lot, or you become an advocate because you understand. So therefore, if you want to advocate, like me and Stephen. The guy that was on my show the last couple months, Uriah Stefan, he is now a Paralympian for the United States. He qualified for the triathlon, swimming, running, jumping, all with one leg, bicycle riding. If you look up Dare to Compare with a 2, Dare to Compare, it's a para-triathlon club. You can read all about his experiences, what happened. He went to the U.S. Olympic Center in Colorado Springs. Had a great life experience in doing so and qualified as a Paralympian. He's going to, I think, Tokyo, Shanghai, somewhere. That's that one. That's that one. Running through the notes. Therapy. Baseball is my therapy. The Miracle League just ended this season. I had some very respectful therapy through the Rehab Hospital of Indiana and Dr. Backhouse. I love her. In a different way this summer. She's been with me through 11 years, 10 years in research study. These are who you need to find. These are the people that you want. People you can trust. People with knowledge. And most importantly, people that care about you as you care about them. Not that they say they care about you, that cares about you. Thank you. Good night.
The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.